So I had some requests for an explanation on the Hunter one-shot video I did for Atheon. And I don't think a lot of people have made videos covering this build, so it just makes sense. Basically, the first thing I want to get out of the way is that this build, it requires high ad density, which means like you need, you can't do this on an encounter where there's no ads during damage, like Witness or anything like that, because you need ads to get your damage buff for grapple. And as you can see, I'm getting a strand weapon kill right now, and that's giving me death throws. And also that this build, it requires a lot of, to put it lightly, like brain power, because there's two main things that you need to keep up with this build. And it helps to do a loadout swap, I find, with this build, and so it's not easy, but also once you get there, it is to the point where each of your grapples is pretty much doing like a T-crash worth of damage. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is that Atheon has a grenade multiplier. He receives 3 times more damage from grenades. However, if you think about it, like even without that multiplier, you're still doing ridiculous damage with grapple. Basically, the essentials of this build are Verity and Combination Blow are the two things that like you have to think about the most. So Combination Blow was changed in Edge of Fate to the point where when you get Combination Blow to X3, or just Combination Blow in general, I should say, it buffs a lot more different kinds of melee than it used to. And so Combination Blow right now is buffing grapple. Let me hit this rally real quick. You'll see just for a normal ad, that was 1900, and it's worth mentioning grapple does 2 ticks, so that would have been 3800. Just with Combination Blow, right? That's all that's going on there. And then the other thing that happens is Verity gives death throws. So the way Verity works is if you get weapon kills that match your grenade, it grants basically grenade damage and improved grenade regeneration. Each stack for Verity, so death throws on the left, is 20%, so it maxes at basically doubling your grenade damage, which means it is a lot of thinking. And like an easier option would be like Sword Arachne. It wouldn't give you a damage buff, but it would work with Shield Crush and stuff. So if you wanted that just for a simpler option, however, if you're looking for just absolutely maximizing your damage, you do want Verity. And so kind of the way I think about this, or the way that I go about it, is with death throws right now, you can see it's close to being at the bottom of the bar. If I get a kill, it'll fill 2 bars if I get a kill before like that bar happens. However, if you get a kill right after it passes the bar, like right now, it's not quite as much, but basically just try to keep your death throws up. Combination Blow has a 20-second timer, so it's a little bit easier to keep that up, I find. And yeah, once you're maxed out, your grenade will do ridiculous damage. It's kind of hard to show right now. Let's see if I can switch an ad over, and I'll lose some death throws just from switching this over. But yeah, so 4600. If we ignore the shooting range bugs, it's I think what 9200 damage right there, which is a little over half of a T-crash. And so the next thing that you could do to up that is you could do a tether, which is a 30% debuff. And then the other thing that I recommend doing, although this is again requires even more brain power, is doing a loadout swap. And so what do I mean by Basically the math is combination blow, that's like your base multiplier for grapple right now. So if I get combination blow to x3, I believe my grapple gets basically like 400% damage. Now if I get Verity kills on top of that, that 400% goes to 800%. That's what it's at right now. If I tether, then there's another, 30% multiplier to that. So it'd be more than 1,000. I don't know the exact math. But the problem is that I find is that with the loadouts for the reason why I have loadout swaps is because in order to build combination blow, you need to have both good melee stat and good class stat. Roughly 70 for each tends to do the job. In order to get your cooldowns back and be able to chain it back and forth and build it up. And so what I've done is I've made one loadout that has melee and class, and this loadout is basically specifically for building stacks. And then right before damage, I switched to this loadout. And this loadout has font mods to up my stats, and if my fonts are up, I will go to 200 grenade stat, which is another 65% multiplier, which is a lot. And my stats are not even like fully optimized, in all honesty. You could get melee even further, but melee also caps, I believe, at 30%, and grenade caps at 65%. And so my first loadout just has the 70 class and the 70 melee, and then the second loadout basically maximizes my grenade to the best of my ability. I assume some people are also just going to want me to show my fragments. All I do for my fragments is literally pick whatever is going to give me stats. So Facet of Devotion gives me melee, Sacrifice gives me grenade, melee, grenade, or melee, grenade. So I get 30 melee stats for free and 20 grenade stats. Even though the only thing here that's actually like kind of strong is Facet of Protection, to be honest. Everything else is pretty much picked just for the... And so I'm going to show what that loadout swap looks like real quick. Alright, let's switch it over. Okay, now I loadout swap. Boom. And I lost a little bit of death throws there, but I mean, with tether, that's hitting for roughly 14,000, which is almost a T-crash. And even then I didn't have armor charge, and I lost a little bit of death throws, so that was probably another 20% loss. So not a perfect execution there, but still 14k. Now, you don't need a 1-2 punch shotgun necessarily. You'll notice I'm shooting this before because 1-2 punch increases my melee damage. This is only, I believe, it's a little less than 20% increase because of the way that additive melee works. And so it's not fully necessary. The thing that I do fully recommend doing is having Navigator with its catalyst so you can make a grapple point. You don't need to do the whole 1-2 punch grapple melee thing, but it will help a little bit. You can literally just grapple melee, grapple melee, grapple melee, and that'll work. It'll lose like a little bit of damage, but honestly not that much. And yeah, this is pretty much the best damage in the game. Whenever, like, if you pull it off successfully, this is kind of just straight up the best damage in the game right now. Like I said, it requires a lot of thinking because you have to keep ads alive and stuff. But you'll notice, like, even without my stacks right now, just from having grenade stat, I'm still hitting for, what was it, 2,800 on each melee. Now, if I'm out of stacks, you really do want to make sure to 1-2 punch, but like, yeah, no, I mean, it's pretty ridiculous. Definitely requires a lot of thinking, but I mean, it's kind of fun to just mess around with. The thing that is difficult is keeping Verity and combination blow up. I really recommend trying to keep combination blow up, especially because as soon as you lose combination blow, all of your other multipliers kind of become pointless, because Verity isn't multiplying the 400% you get from combination blow, and your grenade stat isn't multiplying that either, and tether isn't. And so keeping that up, I think, is the most essential part, whereas Verity is just kind of a little bit of a luxury almost. But yeah, that's all there really is to this build. It's kind of the same logic that's been used for a lot of other grapple type builds, and grapple being able to benefit from both melee and grenade buffs has just made grapple an insane ability. And it continues to just be like an outlier in the fact that you can also just spam it if you have a grapple point. But yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much all I had to explain. If anyone has questions in the comments, just let me know. Happy to answer them. But yeah, thanks.